Maul is mad about everything. Wanting to find Sidious and exact revenge, he figures Count Dooku is his best lead. In a surprise move, the Jedi Council sends along Luminar and Dooley, also wanting to find the Separatist leader. The pair ambush Count Dooku and Cad Bane on the planet Bombardia. Hello and welcome to another Bombad Battle Report. It's been a little while since we had a full-fledged one of these, so I apologize for that delay. But we're here now and we've got some Never Tell Me the Odds spoilers, so we're going to do a game of that. Without further ado, let's dive into the lists. Now, to start off, we've got the Separatist list, and my idea here was I kind of wanted a normal baseline list, something that is something you might see with the other two objectives that hasn't really been specifically chosen for this objective, just because I want to see how it fares. So, Dooku Cad, yeah, something I've seen a decent amount here and there. I did put Aura in instead of Jango or Kalani, just because she does have hit and run to give a bit more inactivation mobility, which I do think is valuable in this objective. So I made a small tweak. She has Aura though still, so it might not turn out well. We've also got Jango in the other squad, as we'll see in a moment. I also went with B1s instead of Magnas because there's not tons of ways in this list to move and attack with Magnas when it's not their activation. And B1s can also be sneaky fast, and we haven't seen them on the table yet. So figured this was a good opportunity. Then on the other side, we've got Team Mandalore. This was actually one of my favorite lists, especially when the game started. I haven't played it in a while, but we've got Maul, Lumi, Mandos, we've got Jango. It's really good on shifting priorities. It's very good on sabotage, showdown. It can be quite a fast list, so I want to see how that can do on this new objective. It's also a list with usually a little force left over. Same with the Dooku list. Both of these lists can afford to challenge the odds most likely. Cad especially, because you're basically just spending the force you would regen anyways. So let's see how it goes. The Mandalorians are first, and I decided to put Lumi on the right side because it's just easier for her to access that objective versus Maul, Bo, Super Commandos. They've got a lot of speed. They should be able to take the left side if it comes up. Similar thinking for the Separatists. I put the faster squad on the right because of that elevated objective. And maybe Aura can get that back objective too with a sneaky little reposition. Whereas Dooku, the B1s, can go to the left. The actual layout is Desperate Measures. So the Luminara side objective will come up. And that's actually going to be Jango's card. It's in the mail back to me, but I don't have it in my possession right now. I am going to reserve him because I want to keep him for when Dooku or someone comes onto that left side, or right side, I should say. And that card is similar situation with Jango. That is actually the Super Commando proxy I'm using. So they're going to take cover and then just use a move action, save some force. One climbing up on the left, and then the other taking our second quote-unquote home objective. So not getting punished too much for starting with, I'd say, the worst layout in that you don't have two objectives contested from deployment in most cases. So very basic start for the Mandalorians, but nothing too bad. We're not putting anyone up to get popped. And the Separatists get Dooku. Now, I do think, of course, we do have Jango on the other side, but we have to move up eventually, and we can at least force Jango to go. And getting Dooku nice and central isn't bad, because he does have that range to melee reactive. And he can start getting Kraken moved up. So we're going to choose Kraken for the tactic dash. This means that maybe Kraken can use his own tactic on the B1s and just get our team up the battlefield faster overall. So Dooku does his own dash, then he's going to advance. That is not going to put him in range of the objective just yet, though, so he is going to take cover for that extra little distance and get himself nicely suited. And here, actually, I was also thinking, I'll say he went up the ingress for a little extra distance as well. And a little tactical rotate around so he looks nice and pretty. So the Separatists will claim 3 objectives and are the first to score. Dooku will also swap to Makashi stance for better defense. And the Mandalorians are going to peek with Luminara, and they see the Shatterpoint. So good to know we have that coming up. I think we're going to go with Jango here. He's just going to start with a nice advance, but we are going to look at using Capture Wire. He is out of range of Dooku. I could try to shoot, but the chances of getting 3 down the tree for a jump or a free active ability are pretty low, so we're just going to focus, keep playing it conservatively. Shooting Dooku in this stance is not going to lead to great things. We will use 1 force for Capture Wire, which pulls Dooku away, and if we set the angle up properly, which we did, that is going to be Dooku out of range, and Jango flips the objective, scoring 3 and giving both sides a momentum. And Kraken comes up. Good thing we positioned him last turn with Dooku. So then when he uses his tactic, he's going to get those B1s up the battlefield. They can be a bit slow sometimes, so a little bit of extra movement definitely does help. And Kraken is also very difficult to knock off objectives sometimes, so I don't mind getting him up into the fray. He will advance and be just outside melee range of Jango, so you can take a shot. And it is a pretty good shot. We're going to get 4 down the tree. Not often that happens against Jango. I was tempted to just get extra damage, but I think we'll go with the free tactical network, just so we make sure we have enough for, or lots of CAD shenanigans, challenging the odds maybe. We do get a double shove. Kraken will only use 1 follow-up so that he can stay within range of those B1s for the tactical network. Maybe we should have just paid for it, but I don't know. That feels maybe a little greedy. So now here comes the tactical network, trying to get a second body on the objective. This B1 will take a shot at Jango. Unfortunately, just 1 is going to get through 1 damage. No reposition was what we really wanted. CAD is going to pay and then jump because he's quite clearly beyond range 4 of Jango, and that should be well within the towards arc. But still, 3 for the Separatists once again. Now, we know what's going to come next for the Mandalorians. We peeked at it last time with Luminar's identity. It is the Shatterpoint. And we can't really attack CAD's objectives. There's 3 units there, all contesting. So we will actually go with Luminara, I would say, is what I'm thinking. Because she's pretty good at shoving. And she could get Kraken away. And we can also do a full heal for Jango. So that maybe if we trigger a dash on a kill, he can get back into contesting range without being pinned. So advance from Luminara, pay 1 force to dash. Now she's in the mix. She's going to pay 2 more force. So that's half our force gone in 1 activation. But I think we should be okay. Full heal Jango and attack Kraken. That is 4 crits down the tree, which will give us a total of 5 damage if we can get him out of contesting range. Double shove to get past the steadfast, and most importantly, first things first, we are going to do a reposition and get outside range 2 of Dooku. So he can spend that force, shake his pin, because there were no hits that got through, but he cannot melee Luminara. So she flips that objective, flips her stance as well before that, and she's going to be nice and tanky. The Separatists are getting CAD. I could get really aggressive with him if I wanted to. He gets a jump pretty early in his tree, and maybe he could jump up top, but being right in the mix of things is not really where CAD wants to be. He could get wounded, and that really hurts his force economy, and he could get engaged, and that just shuts everything down. So we're going to be a little bit conservative, use this as a setup turn. Shooting the Super Commando up top, he does only get 2 down his tree, which will be enough for a jump to relocate him a little bit, but would have been nice to do a bit better. He will be in contesting range in case that objective comes up, and be in range 4 of the other Super Commando to use his reactive. And the one he attacked reduces the damage by 1 as well because of bow. Speaking of bow, Here she comes for the Mandos. I think she'll also kind of use it as a setup turn, taking a climb and going down the ingress. She will be within 2 of a friendly Mandalorian, so she'll get her free focus, which gives her a free dash and some heals. And then at this point, I realized I had forgotten her tactic, so I would have jumped this guy up just to make that objective a little bit more secure. So we'll take care of that. Doesn't change anything really. She'll heal, shoot Cad, and she will get 3 down the tree. She will go the less damaging route, taking the jump as well and getting the shove to knock him out of range 4 so he can't tag 2 damage onto those Mandos. She's not going to use the full extent of her jump. She just wants to stay where she is, giving her aura effect to both Super Commandos. The Mandalorians will score 3, and for once the struggle tracker does not land on the middle. We get the B2s. They probably would have been an okay shout if we hadn't gotten Bo, because they could maybe go and wound Super Commandos. But now it's not looking so great, so we will pay 1 to reserve, hoping for maybe B1s or the Shatterpoint, and we get the B1s. These guys can help us take over that Lumi objective. The first guy moves down just outside of melee range with Lumi, and then the other guy is going up top on the ingress. He will shoot first, looking for that reposition on 2 results, but he gets nothing but expertise, and Lumi is the same. Nothing down the tree. That is rough. Second shot will only get 1 through for 1 damage. Yeah, it's been a while since I shot at Lumi. I think it was a little too aggressive, and I should have just taken cover there to ensure I got 2 bodies on the objective. Now, I will pay 1 for Cad. That was maybe not perfectly towards, and I should have put the tool down, but yeah, whatever. He's getting into range 4 for future B2 actions. And then the Mandos get Maul. He still doesn't want to attack that far objective. There are too many enemies there. So he's just going to go and annoy Cad. He'll start with a move action and then take 1 damage as well to get into range 3 on Cad with force speed. And then, of course, 2 more damage to pull Cad into melee with him. Now, Cad does have some damage from being shot earlier, so a wound is potentially on the table. We'll swap to Sinister Cunning, and that is going to be a really good result for Maul. 5 down the tree. That's going to be a bunch of damage. Shove, reposition. We're going to get a pin on Cad. We'll get some heals even, and a jump. So I'm going to just run and hide with Maul. Obviously... Well, maybe not obviously, but I think just kind of keep him fresh so you can do his thing later. I did forget some Lumi and Dooku triggers, but we'll come back to that at a later point. We will see. And I think now is the time to activate the B2s. Try to maybe push a wound through / kind of set up for the next struggle. We'll see what we can do. One guy doesn't quite make it to the Super Commando, so we're going to split our fire. We'll start with a shot into Bo. Really bad first attack, just 1 damage, but that is going away because Bo is contesting. And then the second shot will go into the Super Commando, and it is going to be a bit bigger. 3 damage with a shove, but that goes to just 2 damage because, again, Bo's aura. She's doing good work for us there. So can't complain too much. Separatists just scored 2 again. This is not looking like their struggle as the Republic gets Luminara. She's got to be a little careful here of Dooku. I'd kind of like to attack Kraken, get some more damage. But if I don't get a shove, then Dooku will get to do nasty things, come retake the point, and I don't want that. So I think the plan is to just play it safe. She will move and trigger that strain the B1s gave her after their attack, lock some stuff up in melee, punch the B1, And 4 down the tree is not bad at all. That's going to be 6 damage and a pin down to 5 because of protection. I'm not taking the heals because if the super commandos die, then Lumi can just heal up anyways with her identity. Separatists get the Shatterpoint, but I think I'd rather start next round with the Shatterpoint and a Force. So instead, we will go with Aura. Now, she's going to move up, and unfortunately, due to this range, I think even if the B2s weren't there, she might not have it, but she definitely doesn't have it right now. So instead, she's going to have a pretty lackluster activation, but might as well get a body on an objective, so we might be able to start controlling it in the next struggle. Advance, take cover, nothing fancy, but nothing that really enthuses us. All we've got left now are some formalities, as we know that the Mandalorians are going to score 3 and win the struggle. Now, Clan Kree's not a bad unit to go at the end. They've got pins, they've got disarms. Our goal here is just going to be to mess up some activations. Take a couple shots, make people sad, and then get on some objectives. So we'll start by staying outside melee range of Dooku, taking a shot at Kraken to start. And the Mandos do run their tree, but I will stop just short because I don't actually want to wound Kraken now. I want to leave him for the future and maybe a not so fast. But we will give him a pin and a disarm for damage as well. Then the second shot will go into Dooku, see if we can maybe pin him as well. And we're going to do much more than that. 4 natty crits. 1 goes away, 3 down the tree. Dooku is also getting pinned and disarmed. And 3 damage to boot, though I don't think we'll probably be killing Dooku at any point. But dishing out 2 pins and 2 disarms is a great way to neuter the Separatists. And the B1s also have a pin already. So we've got the Force. We might as well spend it to jump on to some objectives. So Mandos win the struggle, and as I was swapping, I realized I missed the Dooku trigger. So I said, okay, I'll give the Separatists a dash. But then I realized, well, it's only fair as well that I should give the Mandos a dash. So they would have gone first with Luminara's identity, and I would have moved Jango up to protect there, which means Dooku would have refreshed 2 Force, and instead of moving with the B1s, they wouldn't have captured, so we'll say the B2s got some extra distance. And then the new layout is it's worse. So not a lot of options here. I ended up choosing the side where the B2 is already because kind of short term, the Separatists have it locked up, but also over on Dooku's side, if I pick that spot, there's 3 different units contesting it for the Mandalorians. We have a not-so-fast threat on Kalani and kind of on the B1s, maybe. And it just seems very dubious that we can actually maintain control of that one. So the B2s are a bit stranded, but they've got CAD, they've got Aura. We'll see what they can do. And we do start the turn, as we know, with the Shatterpoint. I was thinking about doing Dooku just to, free up Kalani's pins so that Kalani can tactics dash away from Jango. But Dooku would be kind of a sad activation, so instead I was looking at the B2s because they can probably get a wound here. Supports are challenging the odds. It seems like a good start. So we will attack this guy. And he is going to be forcing through a crit with 2 expertise damage and a shove, which is great. But we will actually not use it because we want to keep him in range of CAD. The other guy uses saturated fire, same result, but 1 off the top for protection. CAD will spend 2 force to finish them off, but unfortunately he cannot challenge the odds. And then they refresh a force for CAD, but refresh everything for the wraparound on the deck. But a momentum and 3 points is a good place to start for the Separatists. And Lumi used her identity to heal herself. Speaking of Lumi, she is the top card. Because she is engaged, which I did purposely, I guess, she's kind of going to have a difficult time getting to the ladders since she only has a dash. I think we'll save her for later, spending Force to reserve, and we will start the struggle with the Super Commandos. There is a very Force-hungry play if we want to like pay 2 for jump and pay 1 for focus, but I don't want to spend half the Force on that, so we'll keep it simple. Maybe we'll get a little lucky. These Super Commandos will just advance and punch 6 dice into the B2s. Will get 2 crits down the tree, 3 damage down to 2, and a disarm. Not too bad, I would say. Kind of messing up their out-of-activation abilities. Second attack, going to do a little bit better. 3 down the tree, 4 damage down to 3, and a strain. So those B2s are not going to be super useful for the moment, but no objective slipped. Just 1 point and a momentum for the Mandalorians, and once again the double same spot. Cad Bane. Now he can come back from the dead, and he's actually, I'm looking here to see if he can get Django out of the way. Not really. The threat of not so fast is a big pain in the butt right now, but again, Cad will still be able to do something. Controlling all 4 objectives is not bad. He will flip to injured, advance outside melee of Bo, and ask this Mandalorian to step aside for 2 force. And being a nice guy, the Mandalorian will oblige, because I think they will just straight up die if they try to stay there with a strain and an expose. So they'll just take the disarm instead, which will open Cad up to shooting these Super Commandos who just went. He is going to get 3 crits down the tree for 5 damage, the jump, which is really nice, and shove. So no more force spent and claiming the objective, knocking a red Mando away. That is a really nice shot from Cad Bane. Not too shabby there. The Separatists scoring 4 big points. And it looks like maybe time to throw in the towel for the Mandalorians. We will see. This early returns are not good. Ooh, but the Lumi Peak gives us Maul. He is really good. I'm looking here. If we yoink Cad out of the way over top of Maul's head, we should get him out of contesting range. Yeah, let's go for it. We will activate Maul, and we will start by taking 2 more damage to pull Cad away from the objective, which means Bo will be able to take that objective no matter what. Maul will take another damage then to dash out of engagement with Cad, because he doesn't really want to attack Cad. There's not a lot of use in that right now. No problem there. First actual action for Maul will be to advance up the ladder, and then he's going to stay in Sinister Cunning and lay into this B2. And that is going to be a good roll. 2 crits and 2 damage coming through. 6 down to 5. Shove, reposition. Finishing the job, getting the wound on those B2s, and taking the reposition to put Maul smack dab on top of that objective. I am not going to forget the Lumi trigger now. The Mandalorian is going to jump back, even though Bo is down there. Better to have someone on the correct level. And this red Mando from before will take the other objective. So just like that, the Mandalorians were locked out 0-4 on points, and then they come back and flip all objectives, score 4 points. That's pretty big. In response, the Separatists draw Aura. She's not great, but I don't want to reserve and draw Kraken, so focus and shoot into Maul. But that is a lot of failures, unfortunately. Just 2 down the tree, not getting the shove. 4 damage, pin strain ain't bad, but she needed the shove to flip the objective. Regardless, we'll spend 1 for hit and run, and she'll at least come up and contest. The Separatists score 0 and get no momentum. That is big yikes and maybe a death sentence, as Mandos will get 8 unanswered points. We peek at Clan Kryze. I think it's better to keep them later, so let's go with Luminara instead. Now that we have Aura there as a target, especially, I think. So we will spend 1 force to dash, which will just get us to the ingress point. And now we serve a purpose, because hopefully we can knock Aura away, or just get some healing, honestly, which is probably what we'll do. Stay in Sorasu stance, and then swing. She gets not a great roll, only 2 down the tree, 1 damage. We'll take the 2 heals in this instance, get the pin and the strain off Maul in case he wants to go again. Aura does get a climb, but she's engaged, obviously. So not ideal, but still scoring 4, so what can you say? Shatterpoint for the Separatists. This could be their ticket in. Unfortunately, though, if they want to take this objective, it's kind of the B2s who are going to... If they want to take 2 objectives, it's certainly the B2s. They could maybe shove... If they can shove Maul and the Super Commandos, then they will score 3. I was thinking about dashing away, but no. So we're going to be crazy. We're Shatterpointing B2s once again, like a madman, and we'll start by punching Maul. They do take 3 damage from the strain, but they're going to do 3 damage into Maul, plus that shove. Not bad. I did forget the Maul follow-up. He might have been able to come in and smack them back. But I did remember Lumi. She gets some heals for the Super Commandos, which means with Saturation Fire, these B2s are not able to wound, but again, 3 damage and a shove. You couldn't ask for much more. And we also challenged the odds after that Mando wound and got a force refresh and a heal on CAD. So lots of really good stuff. The Separatists, now they're back in it. And it's going to be Clan Kryze for the Mandalorians. They'll start by moving up to the ladder, and then maybe the other one is going to move aggressively towards that far objective. We're going to try and take 2 objectives back, and I think it might happen. We'll see. Getting the free focus from Bo. And we're going to be just outside range, so we are going to have to pay now with the Force. Unfortunately, I was hoping to maybe shove closer and then jump, but so be it. Spend 1. Both guys are going to jump, get closer to their targets, staying outside melee with Aura such that we can shoot a B2. If we get really lucky, maybe we can get a wound on these B2s, challenge the odds ourselves, score 4 more. First shot is disarmed, and because of that disarm, nothing is getting through. Not a very good roll. Second, this will help us win the priority, hopefully. And yeah, 3 down the tree will do it. We'll go for pin, shove. And you know what? How about expose to try to get the kill in the future with 3 damage down to 2. Sad not to get the wound, but we do flip the priority. But both our supports have gone, so I don't think we're probably going to be challenging the odds this struggle. B1s are a fine draw for Separatists, but we will not so fast with Django. Unfortunately, only 1 damage. Could have just as easily, I guess, 1 and 4 are same odds to end the activation, but not to be. That could have been a real feels bad game ender. So instead, we'll start with some shots, looking for repositions. So the guy down below is attacking, and he will get a good roll. 3 down the tree, getting that reposition and putting an expose onto Clan Kryze for the next guy to follow up, who will also do a shot, and unfortunately not quite as good, but still getting 2 down the tree. So little peek behind the curtain, sometimes I actually play out the turn without moving anything, just to figure out camera angles for when I record. And when I did that, I actually attacked in the opposite order. Really, it should be the top guy attacking first, shaking the pin, then the next guy gets the reposition, and then they both move. Using the innate to give Kryze a strain, and then scoring 3. And Bo is next. She can help out with that strain. We'll remember her tactic this time, jumping the Super Commando back onto the objective, and we're going to go for the kill on these B2s. That will be a way to flip it. She will move up the ladder, which should give her range 2 to the other Super Commando, giving her a free dash. She wants to get into range of Clan Kryze, so she's actually going to phase through the floor, get an extra die for herself in melee, and 1 less die for the B2s, giving her an even better chance to push a wound through on this attack. And she will succeed. That is going to give us 3 down the tree. Lots of good stuff. 4 damage, down to 3, getting the wound. And she's also going to get a jump out of that to end on the proper elevation for this objective. We were already controlling it, but now we have even more bodies, making it tougher for the Separatists to take it back and gain the shove as well. So that Super Commando we moved will help us flip that objective, and we will get a Luminara dash. So we're going to bring Django in even closer just to be really annoying with his not so fast and make it really hard for Kraken to get away. If we can deny a turn, then that is very, very good. The Separatists do get to keep the double at least, and there is Kraken, so we do not want him to go. We will reserve him. Ignore the fact that I flipped a force. It should be free, but this evens out a boo-boo with CAD earlier. So we do get B2s, and it is going to be their last activation. Just focus and shoot. Just a crit getting through on the first guy, but the damage and shove both get ignored because of Bo being around. Then the second guy is going to much better, getting crits through. That's going to be 3 damage, shove, getting the wound, and flipping an objective. CAD is also going to heal 1 on those B1s and jump on up, spending some force. They control that objective, but it's tenuous, so we do want to shore it up. I think that's well worth the force. And it's the double here, so that's going to be tough for the Mandalorians to flip. Now, they do draw Django, but we want to keep him in position now. We know we've got the Shatterpoint next. We'll spend the 1 to reserve. We still have 1 force left for Not So Fast, and I'm looking at Maul. He's going to do a trick quite similar to what he did earlier. He's going to pull CAD away from that objective, and then we'll make a move action after that to get out of melee. And if I'd really been thinking, I probably would have just taken some extra damage to force speed and then climb into melee with the B1s. But I was kind of hedging, not getting far enough down his tree to kill them and just getting the reposition back to the other objective. But with all the extra dice in melee, he probably would have been fine. But he's definitely fine with that roll. He is going to get 4 down the tree plus an extra damage of total of 7 down to 6. Shove, reposition, pin, getting a couple heals. Luminara will use her identity to dash Clan Kreese over to that other spot. So really, again, we just need to go all in on the kill, but it works out. The objective isn't the most secure, but scoring for the Mandalorians are feeling absolutely fine. And the double is showing up on completely the wrong side of the board for the Separatists. They draw Dooku because, again, Kraken is not going to do anything. Dooku will dash Kraken at least to get rid of the pin, gets rid of his own pin, move action. Up the ladder, will get into melee range with Clan Kreese. So he swings despite being disarmed. He gets 3 crits through. Going out on a high note here. 5 damage, reposition onto the objective, getting an exposed, getting the wound, feeling good about life. CAD gets a heal. We'd regen some force. Of course, the Separatists do only score 1 point, which is a big problem, and that will be all she wrote. Django can finish this game for us without having to roll a single die, starting with a focus, which gives him a jump up the ingress. That'll put him well within range 3 of Dooku, spending that last force that we rationed for a capture wire. And that will pull him nice and cleanly off the level. So all that Django has to do is second action, move, claim the objective, score 4, win the game. I had a lot of fun there. I thought Struggle 2 especially was quite interesting. Both teams controlled all the objectives at one point. We got to see a triple objective flip. I thought it was just over for the Separatists, honestly, when Aura had that turn where she flipped nothing and scored 0, not even getting a momentum. But the Separatists had some fights. The B2s did their darndest. So if we think about the rewind, we can start with that decision. The B2s had to do a lot because of the chosen side for the last struggle. And I don't know. It's tough. I still think about it, whether or not I should have picked the side with Dooku at the B1s and Kraken, because there's a lot of stuff there, but we've also got Not So Fast. We've got the pins and the disarms, and it could have been really hard to hold on to that one. Maybe what we needed to do is send CAD more towards the B2s and the Super Commandos to help secure that objective, because once those B2s went down, they just couldn't hold that objective. And the B2s did great to do what they could. I did forget the Maul clapback when the B2s punched him to death. I'm not used to B2s punching him to death. If I had been thinking about that, I probably would have just given him the shove and not the wound, which would have made his next activation a bit tougher. But then again, challenging the odds was pretty important there. But maybe I should have just taken the risk and instead hoped for, without the Lumi heal, hoped to get a kill on the Super Commandos and challenge the odds that way. If I had killed Maul and actually remembered the clapback, there is a non-zero chance that he just walks back up that ladder, maybe has range to the B2s, and kills them, ending the activation and ending the game. I think the really big mistake was shooting at Luminara with the B1s in round 1. It was a little greedy. Trying to get 2 results against her in that stance is going to be tricky, and especially it wasn't like one of the 2 droids had to get it. It was that guy particularly. And if they fail to flip, we see what happens. They just aren't able to take that objective. The Mandos continue to farm it and get an easy struggle victory. So I should have just taken cover, not tried to be too fancy, flipped that objective, and kept it a lot closer. As far as the Separatist team in general, I don't think they were terrible, but they can't really attack the far objectives. And I think for a really good list on this objective, I want to be able to threaten my opponent's objectives in the latter half of the first struggle, once a number of units have activated. Aura was a mistake. Kind of feels like she's always a mistake, unfortunately, but hey, I was trying something. And as far as the Mandos go, man, it made me remember why I love this list. It was all things were going right, honestly. It was a little showcase of all the great things that this list can do. You can have Maul with massive swing turns, taking all the objectives. You can get some good healing to keep people alive a little bit longer than maybe they should. Good movement. You got to see Bo have a really effective bubble that kept those Super Commandos alive and in position much longer than they might otherwise have been. And the Clan Kreese Mandalorians just really messed up Dooku and Kraken's activations with that pin disarm at the end of round 1. Though, some poor defensive rolls helped contribute to that, but hey, they've got it in their toolkit. And then as far as the MVP, I mean, it's got to be Maul, right? If the Separatists had somehow pulled it out, great, B2s, they put in a valiant effort. But Maul just bullied Cad. He was flipping objectives left, right, and center. A true beast in this game and really showcasing why he can be such a great unit, especially with Luminara, when he can generate dashes and movement for friends on his turn. It's a great list, great pairing, and despite being made up of only units that came out in the first month of the game, I think it's still got some legs as at least a very good list out there right now. So if you haven't given it a shot, go for it, try it out, and let me know how you're enjoying the new objective. If you want more Never Tell Me the Odds battle reports, I've got a bonus battle with it. I've been trying it out there. And if not, just hold on for the next one. Things will be a little bit slower over the summer here just because of vacation and life stuff, but there'll still be some decent videos, some good stuff in the pipeline. And eventually I'll be able to get my hands on the Mandalorian as well, so I can finally do that Mando Bad Batch matchup that you guys voted on back for May the 4th. It is coming. That should, fingers crossed, be Battle Report 8. And then after that, we've got Han, we've got Iden. We should be getting some new and interesting lists showcased on the channel. So keep an eye out and have a good one.